A season of missed opportunities and so many what ifs. The players showed the most they possibly could, just couldn't quite get over the line in the end. A massive summer to come to see who stays and who goes and how they rebuild for season 24-25. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel. Welcome to our Luton Town season recap for season 23-24. As I said, it seems like a season just plagued by what ifs. So many times at home, they made that place a fortress. They took it to the big teams, but they just never got over the line. The only one come from behind window season. They showed so much promise. They just couldn't deliver us a finished product at many times. They got very close a lot of time in the season. Even travelling away, you think how they took it to Newcastle up there on Tyne as well. You know, a very hard place, but arguably the hardest place to play in football in England. And yet they took it to them up there. They've travelled the country. They've impressed many teams. You know, I think just symbolically finishing the last game of the season away to West Ham. The West Ham fans even clapping them off. They were a team that no one gave any chance. You either had them last, second last in all your predictions, in all your ladders. The small club coming from the Championship, a team that's overachieved across the last 5 or 6 seasons. Everyone thought it would just fall apart this year, but arguably they were the best team of the teams that came up and showed the most, and in many regards probably should have stayed up if they'd converted on a few more results here or there. With it all being said, they only ended up with the 6 wins, the 8 draws and the 24 losses, but once again, a lot of those losses could have been some extra points, and definitely some of those 8 draws could have been wins. That kept them into 18th place, again, 1 spot away from safety, but a very impressive season. I think Rob Edwards and his crew will be quite happy with their achievement. If you look at it subjectively with where they were positioned, what everyone expected of them, they overachieved in many regards and were so close. I feel like once the anger and the just the unfortunate situation of being relegated just settles away, and they look back in the season, they'll be proud of their efforts in terms of how hard they pushed and how they went right to the end there to challenge to stay up in the Premier League in that first seed in the big league. Looking at the best signing of the year, I think it's pretty straightforward. Ross Barkley, a free transfer. Everyone thought his time had come and gone. The wonder kid of about 10 to 12 years ago, time in France didn't quite do well. We know how he struggled in England. I just thought it was more of a novelty, just an experience sign to help around the group. But he was pivotal this season in the centre of the park there. Got his 5 goals, 4 assists, average of 7.17 SofaScore match rating as well. Covered every blade of grass, it felt like. And from that to a deep line position, was able to play make very well, free the likes of Adebayo, Colton Morris, and the likes of Teach Chong as well over the back with his great range of passing, a danger coming in late to the box to score goals as well, and really took it up to or bettered most of the Premier League midfielders this season. He often won the midfield battle, and he was the reason why Luton were able to control games like they were at home, is because he was in that midfield there, working his socks off along the likes of Sambi Lokonga in there as well. So in the end, he was so pivotal to their season, and for a free signing as well, he's proved that he's worth every single penny now, whatever he'll be transferred to. Looking like Aston Villa will spend the cash trying to get him across, but he sort of revitalised his career here, and what a way to do it at Luton, and really battle hard for them and almost keep them up in the end. So a very massive signing for them this season. The worst sign's got to be Ryan Giles, €6 million fee, only made the 11 appearances, then was loaned away, and only made the 5 starts as well. Someone who is a young player that's got a lot of potential, but never really showed in this team here. Went back down to the Championship and showed a bit more there, but it's interesting to see if he can make that jump and play consistent Premier League football. A decent fee coming across. Again, someone who's very talented, a raw talent that can be nurtured, but just wasn't quite ready for the big stage. And I thought, if any team to go to, it's a Luton team that's not got much Premier League experience into it. You'd think he'd be the one that take it by the scruff of the neck and show what he's all about, coming from that Wolves background. But yeah, nowhere near the quality required in this team. Bell, Doughty, these sort of types really outshone him, and players that have never played Premier League football or been around a Premier League side. So quite disappointing for him. He'll obviously stay with the club this season in the Championship and try and build his way back up to the Premier League. But it'll be very interesting to see what they do with him, considering he's such a highly talented player and doesn't look like he's hitting his heights right now as we currently speak. Coming to the moment of the season, it's got to be Colton Morris's 90th minute winner at home to commit their first ever comeback versus Bournemouth. Down 1-0, Bournemouth were dictating most of the first half of the game. They need to build their Luton, and finally broke through in the 90th minute against a bit of run of play to win that game through Carlton Morris, a leader, a true hero of the club as well. And absolute scenes there. At that point in time, he just ticked over to the new year. I think we're in February time, and there was a chance there of them getting out the drop zone. I think on the back of that, you would have hoped they had a bit more momentum to kick on. But I just remember the noise, the scenes, the limbs. I remember watching that game quite thoroughly in the end and seeing how that turned around. And I guess in a way, Bournemouth at that current point in time had some great form, and it sort of halted their good run a little bit there with that result, because it was just a great gutsy result, holding on defensively, denying Bournemouth that second goal, and then going to score two on your own, and the second one coming in the 90th minute, at home as well. Great moment for them. And if they're not in the Premier League for a few more seasons, this would be something they remember in their first year in the Premier League, having that come from behind victory, being at home, and just the moment itself. It just was encapsulated the club so well. And he just loved seeing Rob Edwards being excited on the touchline. He had such a tough season. So that goes down for me as a moment of the season for the club. Looking at the breakout player now, I think, to be honest, it's pretty straightforward. It's got to be Alfie Doughty. I didn't know him. I'll be honest, I knew nothing about him, little to nothing about him coming to the season. 2 goals, 8 assists, most crosses in the Premier League. He was up and down that touchline, running around consistently, real energising that team. And he sort of set the tone a lot of the times. When he was playing at his best level, Luton would often lift and play at a good level as well. Provided so much from that wide area. Defensively, quite solid. He'd probably give you a 6, 7 out of 10. But going forward was where he did his best work. Once the ball turned over in Luton's favour, he would be up that right touchline and getting towards the edge of the box on the other end very fast. And as I said, the cross into the box, trying to find the likes of the Carlton Morrises, the Elijah Adebayos in that area, or the midfielders coming to the edge of the area, the likes of Ross Barkley's and co. So he had a great season this year. Someone that wouldn't be surprised if in Ipswich has a look into to try and add some depth there, some people with experienced Premier League quality. I think he's definitely up there now with a Premier League quality player with what he showed. He didn't really get outclassed too often, again, on the ball, and I guess in terms of his possessional play, not at the top level, but in terms of his getting forward and getting down that touchline and putting balls in the area, top tier player, defensively solid enough. So it worked really, really well and was a standout player this season outside of those sort of experienced Premier League heads like the Ross Barkleys, like the Andrew Townsends, and in many regards like the Elijah Adebayos. But he was someone that really impressed me and someone that could definitely get a move for the right price. I think Luton will have to let him go because of the quality he possesses. So definitely me the breakout player this season. And the player of the season is Ross Barkley, as I said earlier. 5 goals, 4 assists, consistently impressive, control the middle of the park. And you sort of wonder what would happen without him there, because that midfield would look a little bit more hollow. They'd be conceding a lot more chances, and they couldn't quite spring those counter-attacks and that high-energy pressing they employed at times this season as well, because he was sort of that general midfielder and was a tone setter for how they played in the middle and the forward half of the ground. Again, as I said, very skillful in the ball. We know what he's all about in terms of his possessional play, and he's second to none. That's why he was regarded as one of those wonder kids there at Everton. Passing array, vision, IQ, smarts on the ball as well. And as I said, quite underrated is his ability to press, because Luton were a very good side pressing in the first half, trying to get on top of teams with high energy and high pressure. And that's something he was enforcing from midfield. So a great season for him. I can see what Aston Villa want him. That fit their mould very, very well. So it'll be interesting to see how much they could end up signing him for, because I doubt he'll be going down with Luton to the Championship next season. That now brings us to priorities for next season. Number 1 is to make the most of the rebound payments / the Ross Barkley transfer fee. You got to try and get into more young talent. Got to try and get some more talent that Rob Edwards trusts and can build around, and try and build a squad to come back up next season. The Premier League, I think out of all the teams going down, they might find it the most difficult. Again, they've never actually experienced going up and then coming back down from the Premier League, because I expect a lot of players to be sold or wanting to leave the club because they don't want to play Championship football. So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance all that up and down movement, how players leave and come and go, how you settle a squad and how you build a squad to go again, because it is quite draining on the squad, quite draining on the manager to try and rebuild, refine characters, refine players that will stay with the club and build for the next push up to the Premier League. And we obviously know how tough the Championship is. Luton players who were in that squad will know it as well. They went all the way through the playoff final to get to the Premier League, but it's not as easy as saying, just build a squad and come back up. There's a lot that has to go into next season, the 46 games, the continual schedule, the turnover of players. It's going to be a lot to balance, and I really like Rob Edwards as a manager, but this is going to be a real test for him to see how he can manage this group and how he can get them going in the right direction to possibly be back in 25, 26. The second point is to keep the likes of Mengi, Chong, and Alfie Doughty to get back to the Premier League. To keep all three will be a big task, but if they can, that'll go a long way. Again, they've experienced Premier League football. They're all players that have been developed in the Championship and understand that league as well. So it'll be very important to keep a hold of at least two of these players so you can build that squad and new players that come in can understand and learn off these players here. And I guess a lot of things will be the same sort of theme across all the teams that got relegated. You want some continuity, so you have added time to acclimatise new players to the group and build and adjust to new players' play styles. It's ideal to have most of the group come back, continue to play your style of football, continue to tinker a little bit, and really rebuild a group ready to go back to the Premier League at some point. So if you can keep at least two or three of these players here, the likes of Mengi, Chong, Doughty, even the likes of Andros Townsend, if you can keep a hold of him as well, Elijah Adebayo, Colton Morris, as these sort of players, if you can keep a hold of some of these guys, it'll go a long way for them to, one, have a great season next year, and then two, come back to the Premier League quicker than we hope so. And then the final point is to continue to make Kenilworth Road a bit of a fortress. As I said, the Championship is a very hard place, very hard league to deal with. They did it well 2 years ago. They made that home ground a fortress. You've got to continue to make that place a fortress. Make it a hard place to win. Just because you've gone to the Premier League now doesn't have to mean it's a hostile environment. Make it really hostile for teams that travel there, and continue to make that place a place you don't drop points at. And that'll go a long way for you pushing back up to the Premier League and getting some good form going in the Championship there. With it all being said, we come to the season grade now. As I said, a very exciting season in terms of first season in the Premier League. So many new faces shining out. The revival of some old Premier League heads like Ross Barkley, alongside Andros Townsend. Players popping up like Alfie Doughty, Elijah Adebayo. So there's been a lot of progress made. I love what Rob Edwards has done. You can see why he was regarded so highly at the likes of Forest Green in the past and now at Luton Town, because he does a really good work in terms of managing, controlling his emotions and getting a team playing a reasonable style of football. He didn't have much to work with, but what he did was making a team that's high energy, a high pressing team, a team that's hard to beat at home, and a team that's well structured, but is not just disregarding going forward. They're still got an attacking output and attacking threat. So I think they'll have a solid enough season next season at Championship, but it's if they can come back up. The season grade I give them is a C-. Again, a little bit below par. If they stayed up, obviously you get like a B+ or something like that. But just because of how close they were in games and how they bottled a lot of leads in many regards or couldn't convert on winning positions, it just sort of takes down from that marking there. So I've gone with a C-, just below average, but very confident that Rob Edwards can turn this team around and hopefully be back in the Premier League quicker and soon as we expect here. With it all being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos and podcast content, and press that post notification bell so you know when we upload. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the upcoming football, and I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Check some, guys. See you later.